Here's a disc-on module. It's an 8 gig I'm playing with. It's got an IDE connector that's 40 pins for the older computers, and it's got a power connector here that connects up to a drive adapter. I'm using a USB 2 to SATA adapter, which also has IDE, and it's got a wall wart power supply from 110 that puts out 12 volts and 5, and then this disc-on module here I actually have from Kingspec. I got it about a year ago. I think it was about 45 bucks. I think they're down to about half the price or 2/3. Anyways, this is an 8 gig drive, and I purposely got it because that's a limit on some of the old machines that are from probably 12 years ago, without messing around with the BIOS. And then this is the adapter, which has 2.5 inch IDE on this side, SATA, and then the older 40 pin SATA for 3.5 inch. The one here that's actually got for 2.5 inch has got 44 pins, and what that does, the extra couple pins actually provides power. So on a lot of 2.5 inch drives, at least you don't have to use an extra power connector. That's what that's for. But anyways, this particular one, they're made here 250 megs, 512, 1 gig, 2 gig, 4 gig, 8 gig, 16 gig, 32 gig. You may wonder why all these different sizes. There are some BIOS limits back in the 90s, probably the early 90s to mid 90s, where there's a 512 meg limit in the BIOS. And you also have some DOS machines and that the limit is 2 gig, but you can partition these, so you've got two logical partitions in a 4 or maybe 4 and an 8. Here's a 16 and a 32. I've got some older machines that have an 8 gig limit, so I purposely got this. And when I hooked it up the first time, here's the box, SSD Professional. I got those off eBay. It didn't show up as a device here. And no matter what I did, I went to Device Manager over here. And what I did is I went to my computer and I went and looked at Properties, Hardware, Device Manager. And the thing wouldn't show up here at first as a disk drive. This is the main drive in this computer. This is a fob I've got plugged in the back. And this is the device here I'm looking at. This hard drive over here didn't show up. So what I ended up doing is going back here and going to my computer and clicked on Manage. And when I did that, and this opened up, I didn't even do anything. It's very strange. I didn't click on anything. It's like just opening up this box allowed this to show up. Very bizarre. I was hooked this up before a couple of years ago to one of these adapters, ID adapters, and it never did show up. And so if I go over here and look at it, this is an XP. It shows up as a FAT32 device. Tools, hardware. And if I go over here and look at HD Tune over here, click on that. This is the main 40 gig on this machine. If I go here and look at the 8 gig, information, health, info. If I go through, do a benchmark test here, click on this, start, it's transferring about a little under 30 megabits a second here. And this will be a flat run response as long as I don't play around with the mouse, which is fairly healthy. That means it's running at least USB 2. And some of these older USB to SATA connectors that I had, this is 2013 of course, I had some of these I got about 3 or 4 years ago, and maybe they were on eBay for this reason. They only transferred down here at 1 no matter what I did, so it was running at a USB 1 connection. And I actually have a couple of them. Maybe that's where they're on eBay, but this appears to work properly. If you look at the information and health here, there's no information on this because it's hooked through a USB connection on SATA, and generally the smart information doesn't go through. If I go through here and turn the benchmark off and go look to this other one that's a SATA device and go to health, you can see that the spinning drive's got a retry spin retry count. It's got a little of an issue here in the main drive, and it's hooked up through SATA too. It's kind of strange, but when you go through one of these adapters like this that plugs in through USB, it kind of neuters it to where you do not get the smart information through here. So if I go through and look at the 8 gig, there's no information on here. If I go look through here and look at the fob that's connected, it's not there. So that's one of the downsides is using an adapter. But anyways, if I go through here and look at the 8 gig module and look at the error scan, it comes out okay. The benchmark, it's got, go along here, it'll go around about 30 megabits, which is really healthy. And this module over here, they make them in different sizes. They're commonly used a lot of times for an older drive. They've been used for years, a lot of times in gasoline pumps and in cash registers and other stuff. A lot of times these are used in embedded systems. But for my purpose, I've been fooling around with some of these around 8 gigs. And this shows up actually on my drive as a bootable device, so you can go through and plug this directly in. This part has got the same connector and this adapter as the IDE on a motherboard, so you can plug that directly in. So you don't even use a ribbon cable. You just plug this in, and then this other connector here directly plugs up to your power supply. Very handy to have. There's actually some of these that are sold on eBay that have, you can plug in, they have Linux already on it. I think there's some vendors that have those, and they're generally they're older DOMs, which is called a disk on memory, around let's say 128 megs or even 64 megs. They take the poles sometimes that are used, and then they put some Linux on it. You can just plug one of these in an older device computer and then go through and use that.